In this video, I will outline the key elements and qualities of a policy memo, or at least what you need to know to write a policy memo as a university assignment. The key points to remember are to focus on a strong summary first paragraph and to present the advantages and disadvantages of at least two policy options. Now let's get into the details. The type of memo that I'm talking about is often called a decision memo. Its main purpose is for you to recommend a specific course of action about a current policy problem. Decision memos vary from straightforward, should your boss attend an event, for example, to complex recommendations on policy reform. In evaluating your memo, I will want to see that you demonstrate a good understanding of your audience as well as the substantive issue under discussion. You need to make your recommendations clear and support them with relevant arguments and facts. In terms of general format, a policy memo should include a summary paragraph, relevant background information, and at least one recommendation for action. The most important part of a memo is the first paragraph. Your audience, a policymaker, is an incredibly busy person who often has to read dozens of memos each night. Make it possible for the reader to understand everything important about your memo in one paragraph. Lead with the recommendation and offer a concise description of your justification. Most memos then typically provide some background on the issue at hand. This usually describes what the problem is. What is the current status of the issue? So if you're writing about immigration, how many undocumented migrants have crossed the U.S. border this year? If you are writing about democratization in Iran, what's the current status of protest movements? Choose your information with care. You only need to cover issues that directly relate to the recommendation, and you should consider how much your audience already knows about this issue. Just because something is new to you doesn't mean it will be new to the president or your boss. After providing the necessary context, then describe at least two policy options and the advantages and disadvantages of each option. So there is no one set way to write these policy recommendations or options. The type and number you write depend on the issue and what you want to say. I offer three options to help you think through your approach. The first I call status quo versus new approach. One way to write a memo is to explain why current policy isn't working and propose a comprehensive new plan. For a memo like this, you would spend a paragraph describing the status quo and why it isn't working. Then you would spend 3 to 4 paragraphs describing the advantages and disadvantages of your suggested approach in detail. This memo follows that model, spending a short amount of time describing the rejected policy and providing extensive reasoning for why the new policy is a good one. This is a good option to use if you want to offer a comprehensive solution to a long-standing problem. The second approach I call small, medium, large, or the Goldilocks approach. Another extremely popular approach is to offer a range of solutions, typically 3, but 2 can work as well. In this model, you offer one option to do very little, one option to do too much, and one option that is just right. Going too extreme on the options you don't recommend is actually kind of dangerous. Policymakers will feel like they're only being given one real option, but discussing 2 or 3 viable options is often a really good idea. As in the sample memo, you should present each option in a different section, describe that option, and then outline its advantages and disadvantages. In the end, you need a paragraph that describes why your recommended option is the right one. A final way to write a memo is to offer a small list or menu of options. Rather than just choosing one option, the leader can choose any number of things to do. This approach is often best for technical problems that require a range of detailed solutions. The format for this memo is similar to the Goldilocks approach, but since you often present more options, you may need to make your descriptions of those options and their pros and cons more concise. I'd like to end with a few notes on language and formatting. Policy memos are not the right place for rhetoric or fancy language. Your focus should be on clarity and brevity, and you should use formatting techniques such as descriptive titles, bullet points, and bolding to aid the ease of reading your memo. The title of your memo and subtitles should be substantive and descriptive. Don't title your memo North Korea Policy. Title it, The United States Should Reopen Nuclear Negotiations with North Korea. You should be able to read the title, first paragraph, and subtitles of your memo as a summary of your whole argument. Using whitespace and bullet points in a memo can be hard because it shortens the amount of space you have for actual writing, but breaking your argument into manageable sections and highlighting key points using formatting will make your memo more successful overall because it makes it easier to understand. When in doubt, think again about your audience for the memo. What do they know already? What do they need to know? And how can you best convey that?